Okay, so for me, the Hugos are not out yet, the Hugo shortlist. For you, they come out today. Isn't that exciting? I won't, make my video until later on today, and you will see it next week, because that is how time works. But in the meantime, we got the Locus shortlist, which is the top 10 in each category. And I wanted to react to them, and I wanted to start now keeping a running tally of which books we see over and over again. So I've already reacted in a past video to the Nebula shortlist. As a reminder, Nebula is like the Oscars or Golden Globes. This is for people in the field voting on people in the field. So authors and writers voting on other authors and writers. The Locus is people who are in the fandom and they vote for free. So this is a free, popular tier ranking. I don't know how the long list is made, but you get a huge long list that I did react for. It's like called their recommended reading list. And then you get to vote in a poll and rank them. And then we're getting the top 10. And in a few months, they will announce the winners. And so let's go through them. Starting with scientific fiction novels. So there's a few here that I don't know much about, but for the most part, actually, a lot of these make sense to me, which is nice because I briefly looked at the British Fantasy and Science Fiction Award Association ones, and I know like nothing on that list. I need to dive into it a little bit. If you've read anything on the BFSA shortlist and you're like, Angela, we're sleeping on this book, let me know in the comments down below. But I did briefly look at that list and I know like nothing about it. It's like not even worth me making a video remotely about that list because I am just like shrug emoji. So someone who's read any of those works, educate me on what I should prioritize my time with. But back to this. So the two I know the least about, The Folded Sky, which is Elizabeth Bear, who I know as a very prolific author in the genre. So like I know who she is. I have not read her books. I do not know Picks and Shovels or who Cory Doctorow is. It's from Tor though. So like, I don't know. I feel like I should know it. Notes from a Regicide, high on my TBR. Super high on my TBR. It's even on my Reddit Bingo TBR. I really want to get to it. I'm hoping it makes it maybe on the Ursula K. Le Guin list. That would really motivate me. I don't know if it's popular enough to make it to the Hugo list. We have When We Were Real. So this is our first. It showed up on the Nebula, and now it's here on the Locus. And I did hear about this when I was compiling my books I missed in 2025. So this is putting it higher up my TBR. The premise doesn't really interest me. I'm pretty sure it's like a road trip thing, and I'm really not sure if I'm in the mood for that. But yeah. And then we have the Ken Liu, All That We See or Seem, which I am not surprised did well on this list, because even though it's been getting mixed reviews, Ken Liu is a favorite in the genre. And I'm excited because I'm going to be hosting a local book club for sci-fi fantasy a few times a year, and I think this is going to be the first one we start with, so it does make me excited to see it here. The next two I have read, and they were two that I ranked, so Where the Axe is Buried and Slow Gods. I've already talked about Slow Gods a lot. Love it. And I really enjoyed Where the Axe is Buried, so that's why I gave it a ranked vote. I think I put Slow Gods first, though. And then we have Death of an Author, our next two-parter. This was also on the Nebula list by Nnedi Okorafor, and I think we also are going to tentatively read that for my local book club because, I think it's just going to be a good book club discussion. Like, based off everything I see on the internet, it's like, okay, this is one where it'll be easier to bring in people who don't read genre fiction, and it's going to be probably a contentious ending just based off all of the reviews I've seen. And then we have a John Scalzi. I think it's his fourth book in his series. I don't know. It's a book in the Old Gods War series, I think. And then we have Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So that list makes sense to me, I think. There are some books maybe that I would have liked there that aren't there, but I can't remember them right now, so it might not be that big a deal. Fantasy novels, let's see. I think there's a few. There's two here that were on the Nebula, I'm pretty sure. I'm just scooching over just to see. Yep. So we have The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I don't think we're going to see this on many other awards lists. But in terms of this was a popular book that came out last year in the fantasy category. Makes sense to me. I have not read The Tomb of Dragons by Catherine Addison, but the name is vaguely familiar to me. But I've not heard anything about it. Same with Lessons in Magic and Disaster, but this is Charlie Jane Anders, who is, again, a darling in the space. Kind of surprised I've heard nothing about it, but makes sense. People who purchase magazines, especially sci-fi magazines, love Charlie Jane Anders. That is close to a circle. That happens a lot. We have A Drop of Corruption, Robert Jackson Bennett. I would not be surprised if this is on the Hugo long list. Don't know if it'll be the Hugo shortlist, but considering The Tainted Cup won last year, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked. I don't think it should be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. We have The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow, which I just read recently, and I would have probably rank voted because I didn't love it, but I really appreciate it, and it's probably the strongest Alex E. Harrow I've read. We have The Raven Scholar, which I put it with The Devils. I don't know if I'm going to see it on other award lists, but for fans of this genre award, it makes sense. It was a big book in the fantasy genre last year, and it was solid. I have not read, but I own Hemlock and Silver. T. Kingfisher, also an award darling. There's a lot of buzz on if this will make the Hugo shortlist. I think it'll make the long list, but again, kind of like Job or Corruption, I don't know if it's going to make the shortlist. Haven't not read it. I don't know if it should, but also the reviews don't make me think it's a groundbreaking T. Kingfisher. It means it's probably really solid, but it probably isn't award worthy in terms of being unique or groundbreaking or super entertaining sort of thing. And then we got Catabasis. So that was on the Nebula. My prediction is it will be on the Hugo. I don't want it to be on the Hugo because then I'll feel like I have to try it, and I don't think I'm going to like it. I just don't. I'll DNF it really quick if I do try it, if I don't like it. I just want her to not write a school setting book. Is that so hard? Apparently. I think Yellowface is the only book she's written not in a school setting. Goodness. But this was on the Nebula, and especially with what happened with Babel, I just wouldn't be surprised. I just wouldn't be surprised. We have The Incandescent, also Nebula shortlist, I think. Am I making that up? Yes, that was the Nebula shortlist. I think this has a high chance of making the Hugo shortlist. If not the shortlist, then for sure the long list. So we might see this one again. Emily Tesh has won a Hugo, and I just know a lot of people who have also nominated it, but we'll see. And then we have Queen Demon by Martha Wells, the second book in the Witch King series. I don't know if we'll see this one again. I don't think so. I haven't heard a lot about it, but Martha Wells is a darling, and the people who love Witch King love Witch King. They love it. But I don't know how many of those people have gotten to Queen Demon yet. So, I don't know. It could happen. Witch King was also on a short list, so it could happen. So moving on to horror novels, I think one of these was on the Nebula, and the rest not so much, which makes sense because Nebula and Hugos are not usually horror spaces, which is why I do like that the Locus has its own little category. The Possession of Alba Diaz, I definitely voted for that one. I love Isabel Cañas. I do. It's not my favorite, but it was solid. We got Spread Me by Sarah Gailey, which I think this could make it for novella for Hugo. I don't know if it will, but I think it could. We got a Joe Hill, King Sorrow. It's the Buffalo Hunter that made the Nebula shortlist, which I'm excited that it did, because now I can get a little sticker to be a Nebula finalist. Have that going for it. It is one that I nominated for the Hugo, but I did say in that video that I don't think it's gonna get to the Hugos. We have The Library at Hellebore. I know the name of the author, don't know the book. Never Flinch by Stephen King. That's not gonna make a Hugo. The Bewitching, Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I don't think it was strong enough. She's been on a shortlist for the Hugos before, but that wasn't even for her horror. I don't think Mexican Gothic got close. It was for The Daughter of Dr. Monroe or something like that. Very okay book. It was Her House First. Don't know that. Don't know The Crimson Road. And I know the author Chuck Wigdig, so there's The Staircase in the Woods. So yeah, I think that's fairly represented. That has a lot of overlap with the Goodreads list, which we are not going to keep track of. We're just going to keep track of the awards that I've been covering in 2026. Now, young adult novels. I don't think we're going to go through this because I don't know anything about young adult novels. Yeah, I just don't know anything about young adult novels. First novels is kind of fun, though. So A Song of Legends Lost is a book that I've been told to read. I have 2 friends who have read it, and both of them have had great times with it. So I really want to get to that one. And then Luminous was on the Goodreads for sci-fi. I'm remembering that. I know Blob was talked about a lot, but the last Nebula novel, I think this is the last one we haven't talked about. Yep, Sour Cherry. Oh, actually, Wearing the Lion is also not over here. It was not in the fantasy section. So that was another Nebula book. But Sour Cherry is down here for first novel, so that's very exciting. Translated novel, The Unworthy is here. I don't know many of the other ones. Vanishing World by Sayaka Murata is here. Ooh, The Wax Child by Olga Ravens. That's the author who wrote The Employees. So I guess we had a new translated work from her. Is that one any good for those who have read her or The Employees? Let me know. So yeah, that's that. Blood for the Undying Throne. I feel like I've seen that name around. Novellas. Are we going to have any overlap with the Nebula novellas? Let's take a quick gander here. Well, we have The River Has Roots. That's going to be on the Hugo. That's for sure going to make it there. There are just some that you're just like, this will make it. You know, the other one that's going to make it? Automatic Noodle, which I'm pretty sure is also on the Nebula list. Let's find out. Yep, there it is. But Not Too Bold hasn't shown up on the Locus, and that was on the Nebula, which I did like. I like that this has Psycho Pomp and Circumstance. I did hear about that from a bunch of friends, and they really liked it. This had What Stalks the Deep, again, T. Kingfisher, and that was a solid entry in that series that she's been releasing. I don't think that was over here. I'm just checking to see if there are any other overlaps. I don't think so. So we have The Orb of Corrado by Catherine Addison, another Catherine Addison. So this seems like someone who is also voted for a lot by magazine readers, potentially. Cinder House, Making History, Lives of Bitter Rain on Adrian Tchaikovsky. Ooh, one that these next two have high potential for Hugo. A Mouthful of Dust by Nevo. High potential, because it's a Nevo. And then Murder My Memory by Olivia Waiter. I think that one has a likelihood, if only because I feel like a lot of people liked it last year. It might not, but I just don't have ever a strong sense. And if it's a Tor novella, there is just a high likelihood because Tor novellas produce audiobooks. They are more available at libraries. They are just more accessible to readers, which means in an already inaccessible award category, it's just more likely. All right, novelettes. I don't even remember what the Nebula novelettes were. There's one there. There might be two overlap. Let's find out. We've got Uncertain Suns, which I believe was also for the novelette for Nebula, which I haven't read yet. I want to, but I haven't read it yet. It's on my list. And let's see, is there another one that I know? When He Calls Your Name by Catherine M. Valente is one that I know. And the rest are ones that I don't know. There is a Sarah Pinsker that I tried to start, but I was very unenthused by, called The Malay Illusion. If only because I've read other illusion magic stories by her, and I feel like they all are about the same. Maybe that's incorrect. Yeah, and the rest I don't recognize, and there's not a lot of overlap with the other list, which is kind of cool. And then for short stories, let's see, In My Country, another Thomas Ha. Very good. Highly recommend. And then Courtney's Lovecraft's Book of the Dead. I did read that. That was very fun. It's like a podcast formatted short story. And Missing Helen, that was also on my Hugo ballot. So that's a really good second person clone sci-fi story. And I don't think there's except for maybe In My Country, any overlap with this one. No, I don't see any overlap with that. So yeah, it's been an interesting year, knowing more about short fiction, seeing what does overlap, what doesn't. And then anthologies, we got The Black Fantastic, Night and Day, let's see, is there any? We Will Rise Again is my favorite anthology, which I know I put on my Hugo ballot, and I knew it probably wasn't even eligible, but I also just knew that it didn't matter. I just wanted to vote my truth and say that this is a book that I wanted to have a Hugo. I know I won't get a Hugo, but it's what I wanted, okay? It is what I wanted. And yeah, the rest of it, I don't really, for anthologies, I don't see a lot. For collections, we've got Uncertain Suns and Other Stories. That is probably the biggest one, because I think that is also even on the BFSA award list. So yeah, and that's the Thomas Ha collection. I don't think there's other authors that I recognize, except, there's a Premi Mohammed, One Message Remains. I am so hit or miss with Premi Mohammed. So that's the Locus, I think a lot of things that make sense. And also it kind of shows me that it's an exciting award year. I think for me, there is more stuff worth highlighting from the 2025 reading list than we've had to highlight for a while. Like, it's not great, fantastic. Like, we've had better years, but it's also not as rough as last year. Like, last year, I'm like, what is there to talk about? And this year feels more fun for me. What are you interested in from the Locus Awards? Like, I know I didn't go over at the very ending, like, the nonfictions and stuff like that. I just don't know as much about all that thing. But if there's, like, a nonfiction you would highly recommend, feel free to let us know in the comments down below. I am cautiously dipping my toes into nonfiction related to art. I barely read nonfiction at all, but I'm cautiously interested. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a rocket ship. I'll have to think of another one for next week. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.